Okay, I'm calling tonight's meeting together of the North Highlands Recreation and Park District. Good evening, everybody.
Hi, Pat.
Nice to see everybody. All right, approval for the June 11th meeting. Any discrepancies? Alan?
There's one little thing, but I'm not going to bring it up. I don't want Terry to get mad at me.
Whatever.
Hey, it wouldn't be the first time, won't be the last time. All right, well,
I'll go
I'll
ahead
make a
and make
motion to approve.
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Approval of minutes for last month, June 11th, are good. Next on chairperson's report. I'm going to start off by telling Alan and Diane, I did pull the plug.
Yay!
That's why you look so much happier today.
As you can see with my growth, I decided June 29th was my last day.
Congratulations.
So now I just got to get used to this. Every day is Saturday, you know? So, but I figured you too, but Alan, I'm still not going down to Palm Springs. That's your department.
Oh, no, we're not going. That got canceled.
Yeah, I'm not a math wizard like you are. All right, the next thing I got, I want to put on there, we have something new we need to add on to tonight's agenda. I'm sure everyone got a copy of it, but the Freedom Park lease.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'd like to add it under new business as C, subtitle C.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve that.
I'll second that motion.
Who's second?
Zachary.
Okay.
Zach.
So I don't have to get a vote on that then, right? No?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you do.
No,
Has
I
to be
do.
still
four.
have to do, any other discussions on it?
No.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the addition to new business is added. Comments from any other board members? No, looks pretty quiet.
Nope.
All right. Then we'll go to reports. We had a committee, yes?
No.
No.
No?
No.
I thought we did. Okay.
You will in August.
Right.
I'll have probably a few. All right, then
Sorry,
we'll go.
July. July you will.
Administrators report. That's you, Larry.
That would be me. Okay. Attached you have information that the California State Parks has decided to finally allocate the per capita grant funds, of which our district was originally scheduled to receive $200,000. Through a change in the way they calculated the funds, we're going to get slightly more than that. We're going to receive almost $205,000. And just to remind the board that this requires a 20% match. There's documents that have already been sent to the state prior to the release of the funds. So at any time we can begin our projects. Do keep in mind that, as I mentioned, there is a 20% match. And I'm just looking at my notes here. We have until 2024 to complete our projects. And if you remember, those projects that the board determined to be how they wanted to use the money was to replace the electronic signboard in front of the, on Watt Avenue in front of the district complex. And the second was Cape Heart Gymnasium improvements, which included a new floor and bleachers. And I believe there was some new basketball backboards and those types of things. So we have officially about 3.5 years to spend that money. Likely I'll come back to the board in January with the plan on which project we'll do first and what the process will be, and we'll go from there. No action is required of the board on this item.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I meant maintenance report.
Outside of my written report, I have, unless there's any questions, I have nothing to add.
I think I did. Hey, the vandalism at the at Freedom Park, do they ever get inside and steal anything, or they just try and get in and don't get in?
You know, they haven't been able to breach the doors in quite a while, Pat. It's been a few years. This most recent one, they disabled the lock, but they weren't able to disable the deadbolt. So the door stayed closed. There was no damage inside. It's just exceedingly annoying to have the locksmith come out time after time after time and replace the same piece of equipment. But it's
Right.
the way things are these days. They're just looking for a place to clean up or do whatever,
Right.
and it's something we deal with almost on a monthly basis. So.
Okay. I think that was the, I see we had a felony arrest out there, where is this, Struzik? Which one was it?
Yeah, not the location you would think you would get one, but yes, it's nice to see that they're patrolling all the parks.
Oh, no, it was Ruth Inman Park is where they caught that one. That's good. I like that.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the floor, the great floor that was done?
The floor turned out pretty well. There's still some finish work to be done. We're rushing to finish it just before the Recreation Division started their day camp program. So we've all kind of just cooperated and worked well together to get it as ready as possible. And when day camp's over, we'll put the finishing touches on it, and it'll be ready for rental activities whenever those are allowed to happen. So it looks a lot better than the old floor.
Yeah, I peeked through the doors today when I was up there, and it looked pretty nice.
Yeah, definitely.
Your crew is doing a good job as usual.
Thank you. I'll make sure they know that, Pat.
All right, next thing is recreation, Miss Sarah.
All right. Besides what I have on the report, there's not too much to add. I just want to say that Summer Kids Camp is going well. We had our first week this week. We're going to be wrapping up tomorrow, and next week we are one kid away from selling out. So everything seems to be going pretty well. Staff have acclimated to the new rules, regulations. They're sanitizing everything. Their hands are very dry from the hand sanitizer. But besides that, we're really happy to at least have some programming going on. Us Recreation Division folks like things moving. So
I bet it's only been a few months.
yeah.
Okay, next.
Real quick, hats off to you and your team. I know we're out there. We kicked off football this week, and I can only imagine what you're doing with the kids. So, real hats off to you and your team. I know there's good things going on, and I know a lot of parents and folks. They want them kids together. They want them out doing something.
Appreciate that.
We've got a big turnout, and so it's good to see, and hopefully things get better and quit taking a turn for worse. We can get back to doing what we're doing. But hats off to you and your
Agreed.
team. Thank you so much.
Appreciate the kind words. Thank you.
Any other comments? No?
I got one quick one, but it's not related specifically to Sarah. It's more related to Pedro. Pedro, just so you know, Center High School football team, the practice was on Channel 3 this afternoon during the news.
Oh, really?
Yeah, from the helicopter.
What did they say anything?
Not really. They just said, "Oh, here we are over Center High School." So.
Yeah, we were out there.
Yeah.
We're out there. So
Oh,
pushing forward a lot of new new guidelines, and it's kind of different. No footballs, no bags, no nothing like that. Otherwise, we got to wipe them down every time. Yeah, so
Yep.
I know what you're going through, Sarah, and that's what I'm saying. Hats off to you and your team. just to, but it's for the safety of the kids, and trust me, I think just like everybody else, we want those kids doing what they need to do, not necessarily what they want, but they need to get out there and socialize. I really believe in that.
Yeah, I got one on too.
So hats off. I just came from practice, so I'm kind of sticky. I couldn't. So hats off to you again. Thank you so much for everything you and your team's doing, Sarah.
Of course, thanks. I'll share that with the team as well.
And Larry didn't even see that.
See what?
He's repping the gear.
Oh, you're I can only see from like your chin on up. I didn't see that T-shirt. We're missing that. We're missing a T-shirt just like that, about that size too.
Huh.
Yeah.
Hey,
Small tent.
Al, I thought you were like telling Larry it was time to get some new ones or something. You know what I mean?
Whew.
That's not my call. That's the chair's call.
Oh, now it's mine. I guess since I have lots of time, I can talk with Larry. We come up with something.
We'll come up with something for you.
All right, number 7, correspondence. We don't have any correspondence. Comments from citizens or organizations. We don't have any of that. We have no unfinished business. So I guess now under new business, resolution 591, authorizing the levy of special taxes within the community facility district, number 2016-01, Alberta Park, for fiscal year 2020 and 2021. Larry.
Yeah, I'll jump in real quick, and then I'll turn it over to Valerie if she has anything she'd like to add. This is something that the board has to take action on every year. I believe this is the 3rd year that the board has had to do this since the park opened. It's a requirement, and you'll notice as part of the resolution that the property special tax rate for this next year will be $531.12 per residential unit. And again, it's a requirement that we have to do. Valerie, did you have anything you wanted to add to this?
Probably that this year the CPI was not as high as last year. Last year it was 4.49, and this year was only 2.45. So Larry, you did a good job in doing your budget within that allowance, because last year or this year it's only a $12 increase. So property owners won't get too upset with that. But I am curious to see what's going to happen next year due to all this COVID business that happened this year. So we'll see what that CPI looks like. But for this year, it's you're still making some money. It's good.
We don't want to make too much money.
And you don't want that either, right? Other than that, that's all Larry and I got to say, I believe.
Well, again, and one thing I just remind the board, and I know you're aware of it, that while when you look at the budget, you'll notice that we have a significant contingency, or if you want to call it reserve fund. But keep in mind that over a period of time, money is being set aside to replace equipment and in the park, so that when the time comes, we don't have to take it out of a general fund or some other fund or get a grant to do that. We will have the money set aside for that purpose, and so that should make the process hopefully seamless.
Yes.
But I think that
responsible.
Pardon me.
And fiscally responsible.
Well, we want to do that, but
yeah.
Pat, I think that summarizes what the resolution 591 is and what we're asking the board to do this evening.
Right. Any other discussion?
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve resolution 591, authorizing a levy of special taxes within the community affiliate.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
And pass resolution 591.
Good night, everybody. Enjoy.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
you,
Thank you.
Stay cool.
All right, next thing on our agenda is B, District Recreation Program Plan. Again, Larry.
Yeah, we've talked a little bit about this over the last several meetings about I think it started with the COVID and 19 and what kind of impacts was it going to have on the district and financially, and you know what, and Sarah can attest to this. Once we looked at this a little bit closer, we realized it's not, this whole concept is not to isolate just a few programs to which the district subsidizes. The reality, when Sarah put all the programs together, just about everything we do is subsidized, because you have to determine up front of what is it? Are you going to recover hard costs, staffing costs, benefits, supplies, equipment, that sort of thing? Or are you going to factor in Larry's time and the SMUD bill, and those kinds of things? And what we realized is, this is actually a great opportunity for us in some ways. If you could see a silver lining in this COVID-19, it gave us an opportunity to stop, look at what we're doing, and rather than come back to the board and say, look, we think you should subsidize this program and not this program, what we really need to do is just look at everything that we do, from recreation programs to facility rentals, anything in which we are charging a fee or some sort of cost element to that we offer to the public. And it's going to take some time to do it right. And I think we have the time to do that. Now, having said that, we still will provide the board, as part of the final budget that you'll receive in August, we'll still provide a fee schedule that might be a fee schedule that we come back and adjust mid-year. The situation is very fluid with recreation right now. With everything we're doing, is that as long as COVID-19 is around and we can't do certain things that we can't, and some things we can do, we're finding out that we have to be able to adjust on the fly as we go. So, and kind of wrapping this up, what I want to say is that if the board agrees with us, we really want to start from the beginning and look at everything we do, from facility rentals to fees and charges, and come back to the board and say, look, here's everything that we do. We've placed them in categories, let's call them that. And the three that kind of come to mind are self-supporting programs that basically pay for themselves. And maybe they make, again, I'm basing this on hard costs. Maybe they make money slightly above what the actual cost is. Programs that kind of break even. And then those programs that we do that really, for us to continue doing them, the district's going to have to agree that we have to subsidize those in some way, somehow. The ones that come to mind are, say, the swim team. If we, right now, our current subsidy for the swim team, we're offsetting about 50% of the costs. Can we do that? Should we do that? That's for you to make that decision, but we need to provide you with as many of the facts and all the information so we can make that decision. Special events. It's almost impossible to charge a fee for a special event. Can you imagine the Easter program charging a kid to go in there to go find candy? Well, that doesn't make sense. So we think that by categorizing all these programs and services, then we can come back to you with a kind of a fresh look at everything that we do. And because, there is a kind of a period of time right now, a slowdown, if you want to call it that, in the recreation side due to COVID-19, this is a great opportunity for us to do that.
The only thing I worry about that when I was looking at this is we have subsidized certain things for so long, I think that's where it's going to be, is because we are going to have to, cut the fat off the top, right? But then if we've been subsidizing, it's going to be hard to change that, because that's what keeps bringing people here. We might subsidize that little section and they might hear something from somewhere else and pay to go do this.
No, I hear what you're saying, and that's again why I think it's important that we go through this process, because you're right. The district, you know, it's just, if we want to call it, I don't know if we want to call it a tradition. I think it's just been the way the district has operated over the years, is that they do things at a cost that's less than the actual cost, and we have subsidized. Well, the reality of it is, you know, you can only do that for so long before you start having more money going out than money coming in. But it also creates opportunities, Pat. You mentioned, you know, the fact is, you know, they might be expecting it. Well, who's to say that we don't come back and say, look, we're going to do special events, but instead of the district funding the entire activity, we might go out and try to get a sponsor to underwrite the entire program. So maybe the Easter egg program is underwritten by a business in town. So that way it still remains a subsidized program, but it's being, there's less district money going into it than it currently is.
Right. No, I understand, you know, our special events, we really don't have, that's like you say, we can't charge a kid to come find Easter eggs, you know, or come watch a movie at a park with us, you know. But if you look at it like senior programs, I mean, some of these seniors, that's all they got.
Right.
You know, if they, some of them, you know, and I'm sure that aren't eating well or take, you know, in these little senior projects that the programs that you guys put together, they're not going to have it anymore, you know, because they can't afford to go there. Now, I don't know. I mean, I understand it's all about money, right? Because you can only keep filling the well with money, you know. Yeah, to me, that's going to be a tough decision when we look at that list and see what we're paying out and to who.
Well, there is another component, and it's one I think is kind of unique to special districts and not cities, and probably why it's not one that I came across or had to deal with in my past, is that, first of all, who says that recreation, of course the board can say it, but who we don't have a policy that says all recreation programs must break even. Well, keep in mind, we get 75 or 80% of all our revenues coming from property tax. Who's to say that the board doesn't create a policy that's a certain percentage of property tax will be set aside to use as an offset for some of the subsidized programs? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Is that
no, I'm writing that down. Yes, I do. Well, because
if you think about it, we don't charge the public for using our parks. And right. Yeah, I mean, yes, when we put money out into parks, you know, each park is costing us probably in the $7,000 to $8,000 range a year, you know, on average to maintain. So, but we don't charge the public for doing that unless they hold a special event or a picnic rental, that sort of thing. So I think that's, you know, you can see that there's a lot of moving pieces to this. I don't think it's going to hurt us to wait. Or not wait, we're working on it now, to be honest with you, we have been, is to work on this and get this back to the board as quickly as we can, and so that we have an opportunity so you to see that here's everything that we do, here's the way it's been done currently, and here are some options available along with a recommendation of how we might want to do it differently. And one thing we have to keep in mind, and it does not change, our community can only afford so much. You can come back and I could tell you that, look, a swim team cost, the real cost is $200 a kid, but we've been able to subsidize it in different ways to get that down to $100 a kid. And by doing that, we get 100 kids in the program. Well, I'm going to be honest with you. If we had to charge $200 a kid, we're not getting 100 kids in the program.
Right.
So we need to be creative in how we do this. And I think we need to look at it, but I think it's really important. I know it's really important that we put policies in place that guide us, whether it's Larry, Sarah, and Scott now, it's the people who replace us a few years down the road. that they then have policies. Now they can certain boards then can certainly change them and mend them, but we need some guidance because essentially, and I don't mean to be critical of the district because I'm partially responsible. Certainly I am definitely responsible for the last 6.5 years, is that we've been doing it a certain way, and if we continue going down that road, it's going to work against us. And now is the time that we take a fresh start, a fresh look at everything that we do, and see if we can come up with a better plan.
Okay. I'm all about kids. I mean, kids to me, if that's something what we have to do, because there are enough kids that don't have anything floating around North Highlands out here. The more we can get them involved in things like that, if we have to subsidize. But no, I think what you guys are doing, if you work up that thing, yeah, we're going to have to make some tough decisions, you know?
So Larry, you need us to vote to authorize the staff to develop a new plan?
Correct.
But hold on, we got a question. Alan's got a question.
Well, actually not a question per se. This conversation has come up many, many times since I've been on the board. And we specifically did not make a written policy about this, but we always kind of said off the record that all the rec programs should be self-sufficient. Now, what you were saying about property taxes, so the theory was way back when is the property taxes paid primarily for the parks and for administration, because the parks are open, everybody can enjoy the parks. So again, the thought was in the past that rec programs should pretty much be self-sufficient, except for like the Easter, the Halloween, the Christmas, those things, fine. But that's the way it's set. I'm not saying it has to continue that way, but I'm just trying to make a point on why we've come to where we've come to.
Alan, if I could quickly comment on that. What I'm proposing is not saying that we have to do it differently. I'm going to address the very thing that you said in the beginning. It was kind of an unwritten kind of board policy that we do it this way. I think it has to be developed as a board policy, because if we could get in trouble by trying to believe what we think that the board wants us to do, and how far, there's no boundaries to it. I'm sure if you go back 6, 7, 8, 10 years ago, the subsidy for the swim team was probably a lot less than it is today, because it's a very expensive sport, as you know. But I'm just trying to say, whatever conclusion the board comes to, we should adopt it into a policy so it's very clear going forward that that's exactly what the board's intention is. If we don't do that, it puts really the staff in an awkward situation. It puts the board in an awkward situation, because we have policies for a reason, and we should have policies for this as well, because it's a guide. It's a guideline to help it. And it doesn't mean the policies can't be changed at some point in time. But when we looked at this, we realized, and we scoured that policy manual, it really is silent on a lot of this stuff. And we think that it's time to kind of call it out there. And if the board decides that they want to use a property tax to cover the things that you mentioned, Alan, then let's put it in the policy that, yeah, that's what we want to do.
Okay, so the way that we've kind of thought of doing this in the past is the budget drives how things are going to get spent. Instead of putting it on a hard policy that we're bound to, and if we don't like it, then we have to change the policy. It's always been based upon however we come up with a budget and approve the budget. Because as everyone knows, not all these like swim team. Obviously, we put in a lot for the swim team, but that's how we do that in the budget, not specifically by policy. I don't have a problem with this, but I'm just trying to get everybody to understand the way it's been done and why we did what we did.
Yeah. I feel I'm probably over talking this, and I apologize. Your policy, what I'm suggesting, could be very specific if that's what the board chooses, elects it to be. It could be very general. It could be policies that provide guidelines. we need something, I'm just speaking on behalf of staff, we need something that gives us direction so we don't run afoul of the board, because you know, you could have an election come up pretty soon and we could have a change in the board, and they might say, well, where's your policies on these things? And I think it's important that we have something in place. I don't see how we can get out of subsidizing programs. We can't charge what the real cost is. What's that?
No, I'm sorry. That was my phone took off.
Oh, yeah, I'm saying, I think we have to provide subsidies, but if we could put it in a way where it's at least gives staff some guidance of how to do that, I think that's a better way than what we're doing it right now, because I would not know unless I get feedback from the board if we were going in the right direction. And I think rather than wait, feedback means I had to implement it first and then wait to get for you to respond. And I think we need to be reverse that.
I just want to apologize because I caught about a third of this conversation because, you know, great technology over here. But, you know, am I understanding this to whereas, do we know what type of policy we're looking at actually writing? Are we going to have like separate ones, like a specific, very specific, or is it just going to be general, or are we just supposed to be looking at whatever it is that that you and your team decide to make up? I mean, are you trying to tell us, you know, are you giving us some direction as to what you want from us to say, hey, yeah, is it just general or very specific, or is that something that you yourself are going to do, Larry? And I apologize again because I didn't catch all the conversation, you know, because my computer froze.
I think the what you're would see from staff would be a very general type of policy. I wouldn't want to get too specific because
Sure.
then you run into problems with that.
Right,
It doesn't give you a lot of flexibility. But I
Right.
think, you know, I'm talking about general things such as the board believes that senior programs, the youth programs should be subsidized in a form that keeps them affordable to the public. Adult programs should minimally pay for themselves, and where possible, they may generate money above their actual costs, which then could be used as the offset for those subsidized type of programs. So something that general, not that
Right.
the swim team should be
I see.
subsidized by 25% and the day camp subsidized by 32%.
Right.
I don't want to do that. No.
Right. I see. And like I said before, I apologize. I just got the end. You know, technology, I froze up, so I wasn't there to catch it all. Thank you. Thanks.
No, I think I understand where you're coming from, Larry, and I understand Alan, and I know Diane's there. Past agreements have been, nothing's really been in writing. You know, it's, hey, this is how we've been doing it, you know, or how this came about. I understand. That's why I like your idea, Larry. There are just some things to me that I don't think we can. If we have to subsidize, we subsidize it with paperwork or without paperwork, you know?
Well, let's do this right now. We're still operating currently on the same format, if you want to call it that, written or unwritten. That's the same, you know, same format. This budget is built on the same format as last year's and the year before and 5 years before that. Let us come back to you with a proposal and with some ideas, and maybe there's some of those ideas that you like and you want to implement, and maybe there's some of those that you'd rather not do. But I think we need to do something, because right now it's very hard to measure success. You know, sometimes success is measured in Parks and Recreation based on did it make money? Well, that's kind of a misnomer. Make money, you have to determine, well, what the boundaries are first. And if you haven't determined what the boundaries are, you don't really know. And truthfully, recreation doesn't make money. It really doesn't. But we'd like to come back. We're still operating as we normally have. We just like to come back with a policy for the board to take a look at.
That's all we can ask for. Oh.
So since this is, you know, possibly working with policy and stuff, do we want to have this go to committee before it comes back to the full board?
Yeah, it would go through the committee process first.
Okay. Which committee would we be talking about?
Well, let's take a look at that real quick. I would think that would be the
Okay.
program fees and charges.
Just-
Diane and Zach.
Okay, because personnel and policies is Pedro and me. So that's why I was just questioning that. What, I mean, I don't have a problem with Zach and Diane doing this, but I was just questioning that because this is a policy that you're talking about.
Well, they're all policies at some point.
Well,
You know,
not necessarily.
I could say that we could run it by both, but at the end of the day, the only person that's not involved is Pat.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, you know, I'll let Pat make the decision on what, you know,
Sure.
committee he thinks this should be assigned to.
Well, gee, thanks, Alan.
No problem.
We're happy. Hey, staff is happy to work with all the
It's
board
your
members.
big job.
You know, but I mean, I understand what Alan
And
says.
Pat,
We are creating a new policy is basically what we're doing. You know, we're really, when you
You
look
don't
at,
have to make a decision now.
good, I need to think.
Okay, that's fine.
So what I'm envisioning,
I don't have a problem with you deciding later.
what I'm envisioning is over the next several months to 3 months, staff is going to work and put together what they believe is a general policy that we would like to share with the board that we think that would help provide guidance for staff. So we are certain that we are doing what the board wants us to do and expects us to do. And it's not going to be, I'm not drilling down to identifying programs that should be subsidized by certain amounts, but more or less categorizing things that should be subsidized and programs that maybe we should not, you know, maybe we should be charging more for our facilities and picnic rentals, and maybe we're, you know, because those are part of what I'm talking about as well. You know,
Right.
we seem to be the low cost leader in our area, and I don't know if that's what we want to be. On the other hand, we just like recreation programs, we have to make sure we structure our pricing so that we don't overprice ourselves and people don't come and use our facilities.
Right. I mean, I'm a believer some money's better than no money. You know, I mean, but no, that sounds fine. That's fine, Larry, and I'll get back to you. I'll sit there. And Alan has a good point, but fees and charges and programs, yeah, I mean, yeah. Yeah, okay.
So if the board chooses, I'll just end it with this. If the board decides that you'd rather not take a vote on this, what you could direct staff is that we'd like for you to continue working on this and bring it back to us to the committee level when you have something to share. Does that make it more comfortable?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay.
So I guess
Good with that.
so we need a motion on that we're just going to still develop it, or no?
You don't need to take a vote. You just need to do like what Alan just did. Just thumbs up that, yeah, just go ahead and do. There you go. I saw two.
I'm good.
Pat, Pedro, and it looks okay. It looks like that's what you. Okay, so I'll tighten this up later on and send something out to you. But over the next few months or so, specifically Sarah and I and Terry will be involved with this as well. We'll work on coming up with a general outline that we want to share with the committee level, and we'll certainly take their input back if we need to make changes and tighten it up. And then we'll come to the board and see if it's something that you feel comfortable with. And if you don't, we don't.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Then we'll move on to C. C is our new addition, the Freedom Park softball lease. Larry.
Okay, I grab my form here. So
Yeah, it's good.
typically, just so that, you know, in case there are board members don't remember why we handled it this way, if an item is that comes to us that we believe is extremely important and has some financial ramifications on the district, and it's been brought to our attention after the agenda has been published, and generally usually less than 72 hours before we can modify the existing agenda, we asked that you add this to agenda. You decided to do that. So hopefully, has everybody had a chance to read the report so I don't get, okay, great. We're in a situation right now that our one of our tenants is in a very difficult financial situation, not of their own creation. It's one that is a result clearly of the coronavirus. And they are extremely good tenant. They have brought in, I can't think of a program that's brought in more money than this particular lease. They have done everything within their power to continue to make their payments on time, and they have always, as Terry told me, always made their payments in advance of the due date. It's not like our former tenant. I met with them the other day. They explained to me their situation, and I decided, let's see if we can find a temporary solution. And when I realized all the steps they had taken up to this point to ensure that they could pay their bills, because it's not just us, they have about $10,000 a month going out for that facility. I put something together that is a little different than I've done before, but I'm hoping the board will see the benefits of doing this. They have a $5,000 deposit with the district. They would be hard pressed to take $1,000 out of their back pocket to make their lease payment. So I'm recommending that we allow them to draw down $1,000 a month, not to exceed 5 months. Hopefully they will be, can begin operations immediately once the large group gathering component of the health order has been rescinded. And so in doing this, there are some advantages to the district that are not clearly identified in this report. And that is, if they were to walk away from their current lease, one, they're going to lose about $100,000 of capital improvements they've already invested into the facility. The second thing, which is certainly scary to me and to you as well, is that it's not that we would just lose the lease payment coming in. We would also then have to take out of our pocket to pay for the power, the water, all the components of keeping that facility from going back into the condition it was when we inherited from the previous tenant. So while I certainly believe that this is a good deal for them, a good deal for us, it's a great deal for us, because if we don't do something, we might get left with the whole bag, and that would be financially detrimental to our district. So again, I don't want to repeat the whole report. If you have questions, I'll be happy to answer those.
Larry, have they been able to at least, I mean, I've drove by there a few times, and I thought I saw, a tournament or two going on over the weekend. So is it like a hit and miss going along with it, with those folks running tournaments out there?
Here's what I think is happening, Pedro. They have been shut down since, I think it was March 13th is when they could no longer operate. So it's almost been 4 months. And recently they've been allowed to do what they call youth sports conditioning, probably what you're doing at the high school right now with the football team. It's kind of a loose policy, but it certainly is restrictive of playing games. I think that they were playing games. I think they were doing whatever they could to bring in some money. My guess is they were probably renting the facility out for like practice for teams. Mm-hmm. But in the 4 months, they told me that they generally bring in $15,000 to $18,000 a month in revenue. And in the last 4 months, collectively, they've brought in about $3,500. So I think they were doing whatever they could. Did they skirt the county and state order? Yeah, probably they did. But that's their problem. That's something that they had to deal with.
I was just curious. No, I'm definitely in favor of. It sounds like a good plan that you have there. As far as I'm concerned, I definitely understand the people. It's tough times, different times, I should say too. I'm good with that.
All right, I guess I need any other discussion?
At some point, COVID will be something that is in the past, and at that point, we will be very happy if we still have these tenants.
I agree, and one of the conditions is that the first thing we want them to do is replenish their deposit. And and one of the things that I can't remember if I said it in the report, but they've taken a very good position, a very smart position to continue to book their tournaments every month as if they're going to happen. And then when they know they can't, then they announce it's canceled because of the virus. In doing so, that means they said they're booked all the way through January. And so the minute that order gets released, they said as quickly as the following weekend, depends upon when the release happens, they could be offering tournaments and having revenue coming in. So I think they're doing it the smart way. They just need a little help right now.
Yeah, I just, like I said, it's just nice having a good customer out there that pays his bills,
On time.
On time.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve staff's recommendations.
I'll
I'll second
second it.
that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. All right, payment of the bills. Alan?
I got to bring it up. I'm good.
Man, you sure are getting awfully quiet since you retired.
I thought you were actually bringing up some issue there, Al. I know you're bringing them up on your computer.
I kept looking on the paper going, what? I didn't see anything out of character. All right, all in favor of paying the bills for May?
I don't think we have
No,
a
we don't.
motion.
Yeah, we need a
We
We need a motion in a second.
I'll make a motion to, is it just May? We just have one this time, just one? And
Just
it's, all right, so I'll make a motion to approve the bills for May, both for the district and Cherry Blossom Park.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. Okay, Terry, you can pay the bills.
Thank you.
Oh, Alan's got a question?
No, I said aye. I'm raising my hand.
Oh,
So
okay.
we all don't talk at the same time.
Kind adjournment. Oh.
Knock that off, babe.
The next regular meeting for the Board of Directors will be August 13th, 2020 at 6:30, either in Zoom land or the North Highlands Recreation Center.